Welcome to the Dropship Podcast, where you'll learn how to build and grow a high-ticket dropshipping business and hear stories from successful e-commerce entrepreneurs. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome back to the Dropship Podcast. John here with you today by myself, no Ben, just me. And today I'm sharing a recording of a live training session I did a few weeks ago where I broke down a very commonly asked question that we receive both within our membership at Dropship Breakthru, but also across the internet. People are always sort of asking these questions. So the question that I'm answering in this episode, and I'm going to break it down into a number of different components and walk you through some examples, is what should I focus on to hit $6,000 a month in net profit? So net profit. So after expenses, after I've paid for running my business, what should I focus on to get to that level? And I guess that's a level that for a lot of people might replace their income if you've got a day job and allow you to quit your day job and focus on growing your business in a more singular way. So we get this question a lot. Different variations on the question. Sometimes the amount of money changes. Sometimes it's more about the time it would take me to get there. In this situation, I'm talking about like if you wanted to get to that point as quickly as possible, and that was your primary first goal, what are the things you should focus on? In any business, there are a lot of different things that you can do. But if this was your goal and you were just focused and determined to hit this goal, there is a much more select number of things with a high-ticket dropshipping business that you would focus on to achieve that goal. And from there, of course, comes the next goal, which ideally would be higher, and that might involve a different mix of things. So we're focusing on this question for this episode. There's going to be examples. If you're watching the video, you'll be able to see those examples. I share my screen, so you can see the video of this on Spotify or over on YouTube. Let's dive in. I got an email the other day from one of our members, and his question from me was essentially, and I'm paraphrasing the question a little bit to, make it sound a little bit shorter, but he's launched his business, he's made a few sales, starting to make sales, which is fantastic. And his question was, look, my goal is to hit $6,000 a month. So this is in the US, so $6,000 a month US in net profit. That's my goal. So $6,000 a month net profit, that's probably a bit over $70,000 a year net profit. So net profit, I'm talking about money in your pocket, like pre-tax money in your pocket. And so that's obviously a number, if you converted that, if it's in US dollars, that's a number that's going to replace a lot of people, if not the average person's salary or what they earn from their job. If you convert that to Australian dollars, that amount of money is going to also replace the average person's income. And so I thought it was a good little target and an interesting question. And his question was, look, I've gone live. I've got a lot of things that I could do, which is what happens when you go live. And it's feeling a bit overwhelming. What should I do or what do I need to focus on to hit that point? And so when you build your business, the building your business part, it feels fairly daunting and overwhelming the first time you do it, for sure, when you're doing it for the first time. But realistically, that's a fairly linear process, right? You find your niche, call suppliers, you build a website before that. You call suppliers, you put their products on your site, and then you get your site ready to go, and then you launch. So it's kind of like one step after another, follows that kind of fashion. Once you go live, though, start making some sales, it's kind of like the world is your oyster at that point. So you can do all sorts of different marketing strategies and tactics. You've got SEO, you've got your paid ads, you've got conversion rate optimization, email marketing, retargeting. You can do affiliate stuff. Like literally, the ways that you can grow a business are many, and you could do them all at the same time. And it kind of feels like when you're in that point where you've just launched, and maybe you're trying to replace your income so you can get out of the 9-to-5 kind of job work and start changing up your life, which is probably what you thought you wanted to do when you started down this business track. You kind of want to move fast, and so it can be tempting to try and do a bit of everything. But of course, you can't do all of that stuff at once. It's not possible. Like I couldn't do all that stuff at once. And you don't need to. And so that's where this question kind of came from, is that it's really hard, I think, for people who are in the early, first few months after you launch your business to know exactly where you should be spending your time. And by the way, as we go through this, if you're watching live, if you've got any questions, post them as a comment. If I get time at the end, I will definitely answer questions, as I always do, or as I go if it makes sense to fit it in there. So I wanted to answer that question. So if you're in that boat and you're live, and you're made some sales, so you're kind of proving your concept, if you like, what should you spend your time focusing on? So that you, one, get to where you're trying to go, like in the shortest amount of time possible. You don't spend time on things that aren't going to move the needle or that just aren't necessary at that point in time. And, what's going to get you there the quickest. So I sketched this out a little bit. So the way I think about this, a question like this, is very much, I just kind of go back to first principles and take it as a series of steps, right? So, and break the question down. So I'm going to actually put like a little thing up on the screen here, so that you can all see what I'm actually talking about. Window, here we go. All right. So it always helps if I type this stuff out. So I went back to an old live training session that we did a while ago, and where I used a question of what does profit look like on a high ticket dropshipping sale, and kind of broke down like profitability and how that all works. And I used an example product, which if you're watching the video, and of course, if you're listening to our podcast and this is in the future, this is a video episode, of course, and you can also see it. This will go up on YouTube as well. I'm looking at this product. It's a Sylvia Sewing Cabinets kit, which is basically like a modular furniture setup for putting sewing machines on. If you're somebody that does sewing or creating, you might be familiar with this sort of thing. It's got like electronic risers in it and all this sort of stuff. It's kind of cool piece of furniture if you're into that sort of thing. So this is an actual product that I've sold in the past and have helped people sell. And so I'd done a breakdown of some of the numbers previously, which you can see on the screen. But basically, this product sells for $3,229.80. At the time of me selling it, it did anyway. The cost to me was $1,756.80. So gross profit was $1,473. And I won't go into it, but I did an exercise here where I broke out a lot of the costs involved in actually selling that product and what you would be left up with on average kind of thing from a net perspective, net profit perspective. And of course, net profit is the all-important number. That's what's going in your pocket at the end of the day, or that's what becomes your income, if you like. So on that product, it was $776, which is a pretty good one. That's higher than some products for sure, but it's not unusual. And it's a real product. So I'm taking that example. So if we can do one sale that's $776 net in our pocket, what does it look like to hit $6K a month in profit? Well, obviously in that example, 776 net, to get to 6,000 a month in net profit, you're going to have to sell about 8 of those a month. It's actually 7 point something, but to get you over to the 6K, you'd have to sell 8 a month. That's actually going to take you a bit above 6K. So, I mean, that's a fairly high ticket product. Once again, it's not super high ticket, but it's probably a little bit above average. So you just need to sell 8 of those a month to get there.
Are you enjoying the show? Are you getting loads of value? That's amazing. If you can do John and I one quick favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, leave a review. All of these things help us to reach more people, change more lives, and it's one small thing we ask of you. So again, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button if you're on a podcast player, and leave a review if you're on iTunes or if you're on Spotify. We appreciate it very, very much.
So that kind of starts simplifying the question. 6K a month net profit is kind of a nebulous concept. You need to start bringing whatever your goal is down and work backwards from there. Like that's your destination on your roadmap. Right. And you can do this with any number. If you say, look, I want to make $1 million a year in net profit, which is possible with a high ticket dropshipping business, right? It's on the upper end, but it's definitely possible. You see that's my number. That's great. That's your destination. Now, to get from where you are to your destination, you need a map, right? And you need some definition around the directions to get there. And breaking it down this way starts to give you that. So if I need to sell 8 products a month at those sort of numbers, it helps me to think about, okay, so what do I need to do to make 8 sales a month? Because 8 sales a month, I'm going to be honest with you, that ain't a lot of sales, right? That's a pretty low bar in terms of sales per month and in terms of what's possible with one of these businesses. Now, once again, I get it. You're just starting out. You're just kicking things off. You'll be saying, that sounds like a lot of sales. Sure, I get that. It's more than what you've done, but just understand in the grand scheme of what you have to do to make 8 sales a month, it's not that much, really. It's not a high bar. So you could go with those sort of numbers, but I'll go with something that's maybe a little bit more realistic for a high ticket drop shipping. Most people are not going to average 3,229 per sale across their whole business. You may make sales that are that number or higher, but on average, for most niches, it's going to be a little bit lower. So I went with sort of $2,000 revenue per sale. So that's the money you're getting from selling the products. And that's not an unreasonable number to work with for an average. I've certainly been part of businesses where that is the average sale value. And we've got plenty of students where that's the sort of case. So if we work on that, and then I'll work on a fairly conservative sort of net profit, which would be about 15%. We'd be saying that after all costs from a $2,000 sale, we're ending up with $300 net, right? So once again, it could be higher than that in cases. It may also be for some people a little bit lower than that, but at scale, 15% net profit is achievable, and so that's a good number to work off. So if we say $300 net, we're getting $300 in our pocket every time we make a sale. To hit our $6,000 a month in profit, net profit, we'd need to be doing 20 sales a month, right? So 20 sales a month. Once again, that's not even one sale every day. So once again, we're not talking about, it's higher than 8 sales a month, but it's not, ridiculously high. And so let's break that down further then. So now we know how many sales we need to make. And, if you've got different numbers in your business and you're trying to work this out, you can obviously just insert your numbers and grab a calculator and you can work it out. But let's assume, and once again, I'm being a bit conservative here. Let's assume we get a 0.4% conversion rate. So once again, it's not high. It's not super low either. So high ticket dropshipping businesses, which is what we talk about in this group and on this show, don't convert at the same rate that you might hear for the e-commerce industry average, which people might say is anywhere, they might say it's anywhere between 1% and 4%, if I'm honest with you. 1% to 2% would be the normal quoted numbers. It tends to be below that, particularly at any sort of scale. So you will have days where you get higher than that, and you might have months where you're a bit higher than that. But if you look at a high-ticket dropshipping business that's been up and running for years and is actually doing really decent numbers, it's probably going to be about 0.5%, to be honest. It may even be lower than that. So I've been part of an 8-figure high-ticket dropshipping business that the conversion rate was like 0.2%, 0.25%. Still very profitable. So conversion rate as a success metric, it's just not a success metric. It's not telling you that you're profitable or not ever, but it is an optimization metric. And so 0.4% conversion rate, let's say we're working off that. That means, and I think I got the maths right here. I hate maths, by the way, that we need 250 visitors to our site for every sale that we make. So, I can then say if I need 250 visitors per sale, I can, work out, well, what do I need per month? If I've got to make 20 sales a month, that means I need 250 times 20 people to my site, on average, to come up with this number. Or I can break it down further. And if I want to think about it per day, I can say, well, I need 165 visitors to my site per day at this conversion rate. I'm going to end up with 20 sales a month, and I'm going to hit my 6,000 per month in profit. So just sort of playing with your numbers a bit and breaking it apart can start to help you understand what you actually need to do to get to where you want to get to. Whereas when you don't do this, you're kind of guessing. Right, so this adds some real definition. So if I need 165 visitors a day at this conversion rate and this, I know, like if I'm now considering as one of the things I should focus on is being traffic, I'm going to be thinking about how can I get 165 visitors to my site a day? Because if I can do this and I can maintain this, then I'm going to equal that. I don't have to think about anything else. I just need to put 165 visitors a day on my site and maintain my conversion rate. And I'm going to hit my target. But you can start to see the other way that breaking it apart like this is helpful is that you can then play around with some of these things. All right, well, what if I increase my conversion rate? Right? What if that was like 0.5%? Then the number of visitors I need per day goes down. I need less people. What if it's 0.7%? What if it's 1%? Early on in a business, that you can hit that regularly. It tends to go down with scale and when you bring in organic traffic and things like that. But once again, not unrealistic numbers to be thinking about. So, I need 20 sales a month. I need 165 visitors a day. Now, that kind of starts to simplify for me what I need to do or what I need to focus on in the beginning. So when we launch a high-ticket dropshipping business, we're primarily launching with Google traffic, Google Ads traffic, usually Google Shopping primarily. And so that's going to be one of the things you want to focus on in the beginning, right? Is getting good at understanding and managing your Google Ads. So I'm going to put, focus areas. I'm going to go here. 1, Google Ads, right? Because in a lot of markets, you can just go straight out and buy 165 visitors a day. Like the day after you launch your business, you can put that many people on your site. Now, the problem with that is that the first day you start running ads, it's not going to convert at this rate because you're going to be getting a whole mixed bag of traffic. So some of the traffic's going to be good and maybe it will convert, but some of it's not going to be good. So it takes a little bit of time to manage your ads into a position where consistently they convert at that amount of traffic converts at this rate and produces this, right? Produces your 6K a day. But this is possible in many niches just with Google Ads, hitting that amount of traffic that converts at this rate. I've seen businesses that grow to $3 or $4 million a year in sales with literally no other traffic source other than Google Ads traffic. Now, that's not usual for sure from a results perspective, but it happens. So from a traffic perspective, you don't really need more than Google paid traffic to get to this number, 6K a month in net profit. You don't need it from a traffic perspective. So that's going to be one of your areas of focus is to get really good at managing this stuff. Like you need to learn it. You need to become a student of it in order to be able to take this traffic and, grow it here. So that's the first thing I would say as a focus area. The second thing that you can do, or that I would be doing, and this is one that I think a lot of people overlook, and it's very important after you launch. So we're talking about you've launched your business and you're trying to hit this. So let's say that, I've kind of launched, I'm getting some traffic, or even I'm getting to this number, but it's not converting at this rate. But I think it's decent traffic, right? Let's assume that I'm managing my Google Ads well. And look, managing your Google Ads well doesn't need to take that long. It's a funny thing. For some people, it takes longer to get your head around it than for others. That's okay. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you if it takes you longer to get your head around it, for sure, right? I've seen this. I've coached so many people on Google Ads over so many years that it's just the way it is. Some people it clicks instantly. Some people it doesn't. For the people it doesn't, you just need to work a bit harder. It'll take a little bit longer. You'll get your head around it though. So let's assume you're getting good traffic, but you're still not either hitting your conversion rate and you're not quite getting to these numbers. The easiest way that you can make more sales in most cases, and or if you were struggling to get this amount of traffic onto the products that you have, Because let's remember, when you first launch your business, you're not going to be launching with every brand, every supplier in your marketplace. You probably had a list of 20. You went out and did calls. You got 5 on board, 5 suppliers on board, which is great, good going, right? And then you went and launched your business, which is totally fine. That's totally what you should do. But there's still that list there of products that people in your market are searching for, they're looking for, right? But you haven't got them on board yet. So that's actually, and this was the case with my very first business. And this was my exact experience. And I've seen it so many times since. Go and get more products, put more products into the marketplace, put more offers out there, right, to customers, and you're just going to get more sales. And there's a couple of reasons for that. So I'm just going to put this in here. More, I'll put suppliers / products, right? So one reason is because your market, your niche, even if you're in a fairly sub-niche, like if you're in a country like the US, it's going to be really big, right? Every market in the US is big. There is very small, very few tiny markets, right, that can't support, like out of any market, these numbers are fucking minuscule in the US. They're minuscule in the UK, if I'm honest with you as well, or a smaller country like that. So, but there's lots of customers. They're all looking for different things. Some brands sell better than others. Some brands sell online better than they do offline. Some brands sell better in offline stores than they do online. Some brands sell better on one website than another, right? So the mistake I see a lot of people make is they go out, they get 5 out of 20 suppliers on board, they go launch their business, and then they get into the marketing stuff and they forget about the products, right? So in many cases, simply going back to your supply list and drilling that for the next 3 to 6 months relentlessly and getting as many of those brands on board as you can while you're starting to make sales and you're live. They know you're live, so your hit rate with suppliers is going to get better at this point. And getting their products online, getting them into your ads is automatically going to boost up your visitors per day. Even if you don't bid more, even if you don't become more competitive in ads, you're just going to have more products out there. You're going to meet more people's needs. And what you're going to do along the way is you're probably going to uncover 2 or 3 more brands that sell really well online, even if you don't do conversion rate optimization, even if you don't do anything else, simply by putting them out there. And that was my experience in my first high-ticket dropshipping business, where I was selling chandeliers and lights. If anyone knows my story, you'll know a bit of that backstory. I won't go into it here. Terrible niche, as I always say. But I launched, I think I had 5 or 6 brands on when I launched, something like that. And at that point, I had very little to no guidance as to what I was doing. So I was kind of guessing at this point. But I went out, I'd been open for, maybe 3 or 4 months, and I was making sales, but they were a bit kind of inconsistent and all of that sort of thing. And I'd started to get the idea from customers, because of course I'm doing customer service. I'm starting to get an idea from customers that, maybe they're looking for things that I don't have, right? Particular styles or colors or finishes or whatever it might be. And so I thought, oh, okay. Well, I'm getting people to my site, but they're just not finding what they want. So I'm not having any trouble getting people to my site, but to hit my goals, I actually need to have more of what people actually want so I can convert more of those people, right? So I just went out and doubled the number of suppliers I had, and my sales doubled within a month. Once, obviously, I called the suppliers, I had to upload the products and all of that sort of thing. So it didn't happen instantly after I got those suppliers, but once I got the products online, that sort of niche, there's a lot of products in that niche. So you get a supplier, you're getting 300-400 products. So it took a bit of time, right? Got those online, got them into my ads. A month later, boom, sort of went from, I don't know what, I was probably at sort of 30,000 a month in sales up to 60, 70,000 a month in sales. I didn't do anything else. I didn't redesign my website. I didn't redo my ads. I didn't, get more organic traffic. I didn't do more email marketing. I didn't do anything different. I did nothing different. I just added more products onto my site and got them out there in front of customers. And some of those products were ones that people wanted to buy. And the sales I was already making to people kept happening because those products were still there and people were still. So just adding more supplies and more products and being relentless about it. Like, I get that going out to suppliers is a little bit challenging. It is, right? Particularly in the early days, but you can't overlook this, because simply having more products that more people in your niche want to buy is going to net you more sales. Once again, your conversion rate still may not be amazing. There's still maybe work to do there to improve it in other ways. But if you put more offers into the market, you're just going to make more sales, right? So that's the second thing you need to focus on, like religiously. And I see so many people sleeping on this all the time, like all the time. So let's assume you do that. Like, what's next? Well, there's a couple of things next. Like, if we look at these numbers, and let's say, I've got my ads are running fine, and like I say, you don't need organic traffic. You don't need to do SEO to hit these sort of numbers. I mean, if you want to do some SEO, fantastic. I do recommend that you get the basics of SEO locked in as early as possible in your business. We've got some fantastic new content coming to Dropship Breakthru that Ben's putting together right now on how to do exactly that. That, I'll be honest, none of the other bobos in this market that teach this sort of stuff are teaching. So that, that's coming. So you've got to do that, but you don't need organic traffic to hit these numbers, right? So as an area of focus early on to hit 6K a month, this is not the fastest way to do that. It's never going to be, because SEO takes time. Even if you do it well, it's still going to be months before you're getting, in most cases, there's always some exceptions and anomalies, but in most cases, it's going to be months, right? So there's stuff you can be doing in the meantime to get to this number. So if I've done these, I've got my Google ads running well. I think I'm getting more products and more suppliers on. Like, what's the next step? Like, what's another area of focus that I can use here? Well, of course, it's to look at these numbers up the top here. It's to look at your conversion rate, and it's to look at your revenue numbers. So if we're thinking about, I hate to use the words quick and easy because business is never quick and easy. But if I was going to say, well, what are some quick and dirty ways that I can take these numbers I'm already getting on a traffic perspective and turn it into, my 20 a month in sales? It's going to be, can I increase my conversion rate? Because if I increase the conversion rate and I maintain the same amount of customers, visitors, then I'm obviously going to get to my goals quicker, right? Or can I increase my average order value? Because look at these numbers, right? At $2,000 revenue and this much profit, I need to sell 20 a month. But at these numbers, I need to sell 8 a month. So once again, this is another benefit of getting more products. More products often some of those suppliers or brands you get will come with better margins, right? And so the second your margin goes up, then you need to make less sales a month to hit your overall goal, right? So you'll get some products that you get from new suppliers will be at worse margins, some will be at better margins. You can throw the better margin ones out there, and that may start to solve this problem for you more. But if I can increase my average order value, which will also increase my average net profit in terms of a dollar figure number, even if it's the same percentage number, the dollar figure number will go up. And remember, you don't take percentages to the bank, you take like hard numbers, right? That's what we're talking about. Then those are two ways that you can boost your, get to your 6K a month goal in a shorter amount of time. So what do you need to focus on to do that, to do those two things? Well, talk to more customers is the quickest and easiest way that you are going to do that, and sell to them, right? So it's not go and do some fancy shit on your website or change the color of your add to cart button or add some little jiggling widget that tells people, oh, blah, 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 there's only 3 left in stock. No, that's not actually how you boost your conversion rate over time or change these numbers. In high ticket dropshipping, it's talking to your customers, right? And once again, like more suppliers, more products, something that people severely sleep on. You need to find absolutely any way you can possible to get your customers either on the phone, on the online chat. Hell, email is better than nothing. Speak to as many of them as you can, and then follow them up. Like literally follow them up. If you get a customer who calls in, right, and they've got some questions about a product, and you answer those questions, and they didn't purchase that day, you have their phone number. If you're not calling them back a day or two later and going, hey man, just wanted to see if you'd bought something in this space yet. What's the plan? Can I help you with that? Is there any reason why you haven't purchased something yet? Is there any reason you're not buying from us? Like, if you're not doing that, then you're missing opportunities. It is so easy to sell to people when you get them in touch with you compared to just sending traffic to a page and having no interaction with them. So if your goal is just to get somewhere, like revenue-wise, in the shortest amount of time possible, the literal way to do that is to just talk to people in your market. Revolutionary, hey? Right? Like, just talk to as many people as you can and follow people up. Every time you get an abandoned checkout and you get customer details in your Shopify backend, you should call those people like constantly, not like once and they don't answer, you don't call them back. Call them 15 times until they buy something. Like, why would you not do that? I don't understand. People don't do it. And I don't understand. I'm like, what are you scared of? What, that they're not going to buy from you? Well, they haven't bought from you. So if you annoy them a little bit and they don't end up buying for you, you're no worse off than you're going to be if you just don't touch base with them. There is no magical conversion fairy coming to get those people back to your site and produce a sale, right? Chances are better than anything else. They're just going to go to a competitor's website and they're going to do a better job of following them up than you, and they're going to get the sale, right? So you really have to be, if you really want to get serious about business, you got to learn to be pushy. You got to learn to put yourself up there. And now I'm not saying be disrespectful or anything like that, or be untruthful, or, hype things up or anything like that. That, that's not my way, right? People who do that are doomed to failure and they're going to look like idiots. But you need to be relentless. I use that word a lot with suppliers, with customers. Keep following up, because the outcome of you not doing that is significantly worse than the outcome of you potentially, and I don't actually think it really happens, but potentially annoying one or two people, right? The outcome of you not doing this is you failing. And that is literally the worst possible outcome in this scenario. You're building a business and you fail. I know people are like, fail fast, fail forward. Wildly misunderstood concept. In this case, you failing, which will mean probably for 95% of people that you quit and you go back to life as it was, like, that's almost as bad as death to me. So, like, would you be calling customers if it would prevent you being shot? Yeah, you probably would, right? So why wouldn't you call them if you're going to be at the next closest thing? At least in my opinion anyway. Might not be everyone's opinion. So talk to more customers, get them on the phone, put things on your website that encourage people to call into your business. And there's many ways that you can do that. But this is literally one of the best things you can do. If you want to get, it's not going to be the thing probably that takes you to $10 million a year in revenue or something like that. You're going to have to do a bunch of other stuff. This alone is not going to do. But to get to $6,000 a month in profit in the shortest amount of time possible, assuming you have visitors to your site, and they're good visitors, you're going to be getting calls and you've got the opportunity to talk to people. So talk to people. Number 4, area of focus, improve your offer. So I talked a bit about this. I've talked a bit about this on some recent sessions where I've talked about things like, website teardowns and that sort of thing. But your offer is basically, what is the whole package that you're putting to somebody when they're considering buying from you? And how does that compare to the rest of your market? So when you're high ticket dropshipping, you're a reseller. You're probably not the only person selling the products that you're selling. In some rare cases you might be, but generally you're not going to be. So customers can find the product that you're selling somewhere else. And they're going to be comparing what you're offering to what that other place or other places are offering. And it's not just price. It's not just the product. It's things like shipping, taxes, returns, customer service, any additional value that you're throwing in, free gifts, all sorts of stuff that people do, right? That's your offer. And so one of the areas I see people not, I think I did a website teardown the other day where this was something, and you can look back through our episodes. This is something that wasn't covered off well enough on that site yet. you need to communicate clearly to people what your offer is, and it needs to be, at least perceived to be better than a lot of your competition. That's probably in the early stages of your business, one of the best conversion rate optimization things that you can do, and making sure that people understand that. So in conjunction with talking to your customers, improving your offer, and you can leverage your offer in ways that will encourage more people to call you as well. Right? So these 4 things, literally these 4 things, are all you need to do to get to $6,000 a month in profit, net profit, in most niches. Now, there's going to be outliers, and there's going to be some different, things going on across the thousands of high ticket dropshipping niches out there. But in general, if you nail these things, like nail them, not just do a half-assed attempt at each of them, but if you absolutely nail them, for most people, this is going to get you to the numbers that you want to hit, right? And I'm going to throw it. So I would not focus on anything else. These are my focus areas: Google Ads, more suppliers, more products, talk to more customers, and improving your offer. That's it. No email marketing. Look, there's not even any retargeting required, to be honest, to get to that number. I mean, we've taken businesses way further than that with really shit retargeting. No, not really any SEO ranking to get there, to be honest, yet. No backlinks. You don't need backlinks to get to 6K a month in net profit. So all of those other marketing things, which are fantastic, don't get me wrong, you're going to do all of those. You absolutely are going to do all of those. But to get to these sort of numbers, they are not required. And so when we simplify things down and you spend all of your time just doing these things and you do them well, you're going to surpass 6K a month in net profit. That's all you need to do to get there. And so that's what I would focus on in the early stages of a high ticket dropshipping business, almost religiously. I'll throw one more in there, which kind of ties into talking to more customers. But the other thing I'll throw in there is, we talked about, like, if you can increase your average order value, let's say, in the example on the screen, from $2,000 to $3,229, let's just use that as an example, you're going to get closer to your mark, right? Just by increasing your average order value. So by talking to more customers, you can do that. That will help you to do that, because if you're talking to a customer and they're looking at buying product A, and you've got product B which goes with product A and will make its use better, then you absolutely should be saying to them, hey, did you know you can get product B? Right? And it's great with product A because blah, blah, blah. And hey, guess what? If you buy them both, I'll give you a little discount, which I'm not going to give you if you just buy product A, right? That's going to help you to increase your average order value. But also thinking about ways that you can do that on your site. And this is easier in some niches than others. There's more obvious upsells, that's the term we would use for this, upsell paths. But being intentional about upsells, I think, is also a way that you can sort of help yourself get to a number like 6K a month net profit quicker. Now, it's not a must-do. Like I say, in the early stages of some businesses, it may not be quite as obvious what that pathway is. Once again, increasing your average order value is one of the 3 basic ways you increase the size of any business on this planet. But sometimes it takes a bit longer to learn the best ways to do that. But for a lot of niches, it is definitely very obvious from the beginning as to what the pathways for that might be. And so if you can see those, then once again, building that into your site and making it very specific and actually putting the steps into your site to do that. So you can add in on the product page like a frequently bought together type thing, or you can add when somebody adds to cart, there can be a little upsell thing that goes into their cart. There can be a post-purchase upsell. Right? There are tools that you can use to provide all of these functionalities. And so that's definitely, I think, something else, that I would throw in there as kind of like a bonus thing that I might focus on. If I was in a niche where I had obvious opportunities for doing that, either with accessories or additional products, whatever it might be. Going back to the original example I had in here, this sewing cabinets kit, like if I'm selling that kit, like I would be bananas if I wasn't selling a chair or two to go with it, right? I mean, if I'm selling sewing cabinet kits, I should be selling sewing chairs or chairs that people can sit on at the desk when they're doing sewing, right? So those exist and they're like $400-$500. So then I'm taking a $3,200 to a $3,700 order, right? And once again, if you're selling this desk as an example and you're not selling the chairs, then I'll take you back to number 2, more supplies, more products. Go and get the chairs. And so more supplies, more products can sometimes also mean that you might take your niche in slightly different directions. If sometimes for some people, I see that if you're kind of making some sales and you've got a revenue goal and you're not quite getting there, and you've kind of sometimes it can be because, and this is not a focus area as such for everybody, but this is just an extra thing that pops into my mind. Sometimes it can be because your product focus might be slightly off. So I remember speaking to somebody recently and they were kind of like, well, I'm getting traffic and I'm making sales, but I'm not quite making as much as I want to make. But I'm doing some things really well. And we kind of talked a little bit, and I was talking to this person about, well, who are you talking to? Are you talking to customers? Who are your customer avatars? Once again, defining your customer avatar, fantastic. Talking to more customers will help you do that. You will actually find that you're selling to distinct groups of people within your overall customer base, and each of those different groups wants and needs different things. And so I was talking to this person. They were like, well, every time somebody comes in, they're asking me about these products. And they're asking me about, and it was a particular section of their niche. And they're kind of like, well, I do a bit of that. But and then we were looking at their traffic and their Google ads, and all of the traffic's on a different category of products who this person was not hearing from very regularly and wasn't getting much feedback from them, and they weren't calling up. And I was kind of looked at it and I said, all right, so if you're hearing a lot from this person that you can really help them, but your traffic and whatnot is more concentrated on these products and it's not converting as well as you want, maybe what you need to, what is your room to grow for on the product side for the people that you're hearing from a lot, right? Who are calling in, who want to buy something, but you're just not quite there yet. Is there more supplies and more products that you can get there? And the answer was yes, there is. And so I was like, all right, so I think what you need to do is shift a bit here. Take your focus off these products that aren't selling well enough and you're not hearing from anybody about, which probably means they're very competitive. And in fact, some of the brands were selling direct to customer, it turned out, and that sort of thing, which is not fantastic. Let's shift a little bit sideways and get more of these products and brands for the customers which you are hearing from, and you're hearing from them because they have a problem in the market that's not being met well enough. And as a business owner, you want to solve every problem you can. Go and help them because you're already hearing from them. You can sell to them because they're calling you in on the phone. And if there's more brands, more products, more supplies in that for that particular focus in your overall niche, then I would go right there and serve that person more than anybody else. And that's what they're working on at the moment. So we'll see if that actually plays out well, but I think it will. So you might think about that as well. So that's it. That answers the question. So hopefully if you've been listening to this and you're in the early stages of, high ticket drop shipping and trying to grow a business, that will, enable you to have a bit of focus about what you're doing, about how you're doing it, because it can be, and I totally get it, an overwhelming thing in the beginning. There are literally so many things that you can do to grow a business when you really get creative and think about it. But in the early stages, you're still the one that's doing all the heavy lifting. You don't have a big team yet or anything like that. You got to do the work, and you've got X amount of time every day, right? You've got so many hours a day, and so you can only fit in certain things. And so it can be very stressful, and it can also build up, I find, a lot of tension when you're like, I know my business could grow, and I've got so many things to do, and I just don't feel like I'm doing them all. And you can really hold a lot of stress and tension in there because you feel like there's an opportunity there, but you feel like you're not hitting it because you're not doing enough. But you can't do any more because you don't have any more hours in the day. I mean, I still feel this today, to be honest. in businesses that I'm in. I'm like, man, I wish I could just do more and more and more and more and more. And of course you can't. You just have to focus better and prioritize better and do what you can do. And so hopefully for people who are out there getting started, this was helpful.
Thanks for listening to the Dropship Podcast. You can find all the show notes for this episode at dropshippodcast.com. And if you're ready to take the next step in your dropshipping journey, we invite you to join us inside Dropship Breakthru, where John and I will walk you through step by step in starting your own high-ticket dropshipping e-commerce business. But that's not all. Dropship Breakthru will also teach you everything you'll need to know to grow your business and take it to the next level. So head over to dropshipbreakthru.com and sign up for our free training that will help you take the first steps towards building and growing your own profitable high-ticket dropshipping business.